Yes, we are back. Our listeners, I know you've seen the name of the show of what's going down right here. We back for another year. It's the third year in a row. Worst of the year. Worst of 2022. Y'all already know what it is. I ain't got to say much more. I have someone special with me back again who decided to do this for the third straight year with me.
I'm back at here again. I'm here again. Like that's that's the thing, right? Like when you said when you tweeted me a few weeks ago and you were like for the third year, I'm like, are we gonna do this for the third year in a row? I'm like, yeah, 2021, 2022 in terms of like the start date, like and
Mm-hmm.
now 2023, we're doing 3 straight years of worse than the year, which is crazy. And I mean, if you know me, I'm Davis, aka Drip. Started out loyal listener of Black Announce Table, has since gone over to Black Wrestling, Banks versus Davis, a whole bunch of other things. But I always enjoy chatting up with you. I guess is what Dre and Drip connection, what we got going on.
Yeah, I like that.
Um, we've gotten together a few other times, but yeah, worst of the year, we just get together just to hate on things, shit on things. Not everything is great,
Yeah.
regardless of what your co-hosts tell you sometimes. What did your co-host tell you about Logan Paul? What blew up this situation at the Grammys? If I
Oh,
might
oh, man. Yeah.
divulge into that.
See, I'm happy we decided to talk about this on air because
Yeah.
uh basically they were we had our breakout wasn't no the rookie of the year. It was the rookie of the year category, and people just felt like Logan Paul should just dominate the the voting. I'm like, in 3 matches, you were just gonna have him like
Yeah.
dominate the whole thing when we got like these other wrestlers here who's been improving like week by week. We see them on television every week nonstop. I'm just like 3 matches is not gonna do it for me, Chief. I'm sorry.
Not gonna be able to do it. Like,
Not gonna
nah.
be able to do it. Mm-mm.
See, and that was the thing. I mean, you guys put out the clip, got the whole world talking and what made Cody so mad, blah, blah. I'm like, no, that man, that's my brother right there. I can respect that man for the intensity and the passion. Because like, if you ever see me on Black Wrestling, I can be the same way.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I'll get amped up, like the levels just go all the way. Where it's like, get your fucking hands off me. I'm on a roll. Like, don't talk to me. Don't talk to me. Like, Cody Rhodes is someone in the past who I said he needed to retire after that flaming table spot. I think that was on the worst of 2021 when we covered that. But
Mm-hmm.
just in terms of how hard he tried to make himself matter, and that's. I mean, he will be a worse of 2022. We'll get to that a little bit later. But no, I
Yeah.
think it's the thing where like you can get and that's the thing about your co-host, because I think you and I would agree, like our co-hosts are our family. Again, like these are people we love, but it's also okay to disagree
Mm-hmm.
with your family. Again, like you can't, not everything's lovey-dovey all the time. Like you gotta have arguments. Again, like, and I think you and I are kind of too like-minded out of our two groups. I think you and I probably would get along. I think the most connection would probably be Mimi and Chris Ann, given their love for Roman Reigns. So they would probably have zero friction when it would come to anything else. But I think you and Cal got into it. You and Matt have gotten into it. I mean, Eve and Bam, I think are always going to try to be those neutral parties. But that's the thing. It's like sometimes you just got to tell, like, no, you're wrong, and here's why you're wrong. Like, again, like you can't just have.
We're gonna go back and forth like we usually do. And I'm gonna just throw something out there. I'm gonna give a little brief explanation of it. You know what I'm saying? If you agree, agree. If you don't, it's cool. We could go back and forth on it. If not, we could just move on. But this is the worst of 2022. And I'm gonna start off by taking it all the way back to the Royal Rumble matches this year for
Okay.
WWE.
I was
Um,
wondering if we would start here because I was trying to think when I was doing. I'm like, oh yeah, the Royal Rumble just fucked everything up from the jump. But
yeah.
actually, it kind of goes to day one, not to like bypass, because what
Mm,
happens at day one with Brock Lesnar beating Biggie in that Fatal 5-Way, because the Roman Reigns COVID thing, which I'm still like, if I'm being honest, I didn't buy that at all.
really?
Yeah, because they, in their minds, they knew right away they wanted Brock Roman at Mania again, which is like, I get it. He's going to finally get his win. But to go about Brock wins the title at day one, loses it at the Rumble earlier in the show, and then wins the Rumble. later in the night.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, just to be in the match at Elimination Chamber in Saudi, like it all kind of goes back to, again, it really kicks off at the Royal Rumble in a way, because they took him off. They took the belt off him in one night and gave him basically another guaranteed shot in the same night. So
Yeah. And
do you
like
feel the same way?
it's that too, but I'm like, because that's a whole deeper, darker criminal link right there. Right there. Like that's you're absolutely right. Don't get me wrong. But when I put the Royal Rumble matches down, it's just like the Royal Rumble match is my favorite match. It's my favorite pay-per-view. I look forward to it. It's just the excitement. I look forward to it. But like going into this match, like the winners were, for me, obvious. Like I seen this play a mile away. I knew Brock was going in there, lose to Lashley, and he was gonna win the Rumble. Like it's so Vince McMahon, and I'm like, for some reason it was just like, yo, this is definitely gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, and plus the match, the Rumble match wasn't good, like at all.
No,
it was trash.
None of them were.
Yeah, like it was just garbage, and I'm just like, the fact that I know who's gonna win this, and the fact that it's not even good on top of it, I'm just like, yo, I'm just sitting here wasting my time to like trying to get this over with. So it just sucked. The Rumble matches were trash for me.
No, I agree, because we BRP, we do the Royal Rumble pool, and I had a returning Sarah Logan as my women's pick.
Oh man,
I drew her number, so I instantly knew, like, well. And that's the women had more returns than the men's Rumble. And I think the over-reliance on past acts kind of has hurt the Rumble, or maybe amplified, like, oh, I can't wait for the Rumble to see who comes back. But it's like Carlito comes back and does what? Nothing. It's just a one-time thing, and everyone gets hyped. Like, oh, I can't wait to see what it's like. He ain't gonna do shit. Edge came back at the Rumble and then gave us 2 years of terrible matches, and everyone was hyped because he had the best pop at the Royal Rumble.
Let's talk about it. God damn
it! but that's it. It's funny because I've been talking about this with someone else. I've been talking about this with Callan Banks yesterday about the Royal Rumble. Like, it's never been my favorite pay-per-view because I didn't start out watching it in terms of, like, I started watching at WrestleMania 20. So the Rumble I had to wait a whole basically another year for the Rumble to come by, and I never ordered it and never watched it live until I got the network. So it's like, the Rumbles never mattered like that to me. The concept of the match, yeah, it's cool. Like 30 people come in, you over top rope, blah, blah, blah. But I think sometimes it can, again, be boring, especially if your roster isn't strong. And this Rumble, especially the men's Rumble, showed how weak this roster is. Like the Madcap Mosses, the Rich Hollins, Dominic Mysterio. That was my pick in the men's Rumble. That was my dad's pick, I think. He's like, watch me get Dominic Mysterio. And he got Dominic Mysterio. It's just like, we're at a time where the men's roster just is what it is, again, because there are these part-timers, or the stars aren't who they used to be, in terms of, like, some people are diminished, some people didn't achieve certain heights, but just the booking of it for Brock Lesnar to come in and win just like that, it's like, oh, who am I thinking? Vince McMahon still runs the show, right? Like, well, duh, what else? Like,
yeah, that was basically that was horrible for me. That was a bad experience watching the Royal Rumble. You know, seeing what that means to me and everything. But
and the women's, I mean, Sasha Banks comes out, like, steals the show right away, and then gets like eliminated 10 minutes later. It's like, what are you doing? Like,
yeah, she was a Rumble favorite that year.
And why? And now we know why she's in a whole nother country a year later. It's like,
and people want to blame her. Like, yo, just you seen what happened on SmackDown? You see what happened on SmackDown, the last SmackDown of the year?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not mad at the Charlotte Flair thing. I was mad next 2024 when we do worse than 2023, when Michael Cole said this was the biggest ratings in 2 years because of Ronda Rousey, Raquel Rodriguez. Like, who the fuck are you lying to? Like, you know damn well it was John Cena. Like, don't come in here and say people weren't watching SmackDown, because, again, John Cena is the biggest draw the company's had in this modern era. But still, yeah, I mean, and Ronda Rousey comes back, and that was talked about the week or two prior. She's going to come back, win the Rumble. So that entirely wasn't a shock that she won it. It was just like, oh, she's back, and we're not going to look forward to this based on how the last run went.
And you mentioning that name, Ronda Rousey, we'll be right to. We'll be.
Oh, yeah, I imagine so. But I agree. The Royal Rumble just, that's why to me, I'm like, I don't get hyped for the Rumble because it's just the expectations are always so high, it can never deliver.
Okay, I'm rolling. Well, it's on you.
So I already kind of got to Brock Lesnar winning at Elimination Chamber in Saudi, and the Saudi shows, they've kind of done a better job in the past like 2 years of making them matter. So I'm not gonna, because I think I hate on like them going back to Saudi a little bit before, but I'm just gonna go right to Cody Rhodes returning at WrestleMania and kickstarting this Seth Rollins feud, which, God, no one looked like a bigger loser than Seth Rollins for 3 straight months almost. Like, Seth Rollins couldn't beat this man at Mania, which made sense. Cody Rhodes should win in his return. It's a big moment, all that. I'm not mad that he came back either. Like, that was his goal the entire time. Like, he had no intention of staying in the company he started.
Mm-hmm.
Then they have the rematch, and he beats him again. I'm like, okay, so 50-50 bookings out of the window. So what's going on here? And then they have another match. And so this is the real worst of the year to me, is the Hell in a Cell match. I think this is the worst match of the year. I can't believe the fucking bullshit people were going with online about, oh my God, what a classic. So heroic. This man is everyone involved is a fucking idiot. If I'm Seth Rollins, I'm like, I'm leaving the next day. If you're not giving me the title 3 months from now, I'm leaving the next day. How can I lose to a one-armed man? This man couldn't even do a fucking crossroads. He was just like this, like, all right. He's hitting him. It's with a sledgehammer. It was so embarrassing. And it was one of those moments. And everyone talks about like, oh, I can't believe that Rey Mysterio would beat someone like Gunter. Look at the size of Gunter and look at the size of. How can one guy with one working arm beat a guy with 2 working arms? And the other guy is Seth Rollins at that. Make it make sense. And the whole Seth Rollins and the polka dots, everything just about, I hated it. Hate. That was me the whole time. I'm like, that made wrestling look fake and embarrassing. Like, how can I watch this? Like, how can you justify a man whose entire right side is bruised winning the way he did?
You make very valid points. It's a Hell in a Cell match. They had the weapons out.
So he should, the minute he like goes into the cell, he should be like, I can't wrestle anymore. The pain, right? No way the adrenaline in his soul is enough to get him through that match. Come on.
That match won Match of the Year at the Grammys.
Yeah, I respect the Grammys and the work that you, Chris and Eve, KP, and Manny and all the listeners. But no, that's not Match of the Year. If I was there, I would have, how you got in trouble for it. Like, I would have put this picture like.
No, you make very valid points. You really do. I feel like I personally, their best match to me was the second one. I like the second one. I think it's a better match than especially the third one. But we named that Match of the Year just for it actually happening. It actually going down, and they actually put on. Like, you know what I'm saying? You think otherwise, but you know what I'm saying? They was in there. They was doing this thing. Cody was doing his thing with one fucking arm, bro. I'm just like,
listen, he's 3.5 stars at best when he's healthy. That match with one arm, no. And all y'all were like, oh, the storytelling. It's the drama. Look at him. I'm like, no, Seth Rollins is now the biggest loser in the history of 3 straight matches, especially the last one to a one-armed man. Like, come on.
I thought so too, but that's Seth Rollins. Seth is one of the best all time, and I've been saying this. You got to put all time on him right now while he's here. Now, I don't know if he's injured or not, because he did get hurt, and he tweeted his what is
the old saying? Yeah, the redesign.
Yeah. I was like, damn, this is not a tweet I needed to see right now, Seth. So
unless he comes back with a burn it like that energy, because I didn't really like this. I'm not. Well, I mean, he did try to call himself like Drip Seth Rollins. I'm like, who you fooling? You said, what you said about you don't want your kids listening to rap music. You ain't fooling me. He comes out here with these suits and all that, and the Joker laugh and all the hair. I'm like, you're a great wrestler. You don't need to do all this bullshit. But yeah, no, I didn't like this match at all. The feud, like I said, just for him to go 3-0 against Seth Rollins, and at what purpose? Then he gets injured, and now the rumor was he's going to come back and feud with Seth again. It's like, but why?
Word, it's no point of me.
It's like the man, like, what do you want to prove? Unless Seth Rollins, like, he beat me 3 straight times, and Seth Rollins should be like, damn, I shouldn't even wrestle this guy. He's going to go for the 4-0 sweep. Like,
it's no point. Like, yeah, you're going to have Cody come back and just like, I want Seth. Like, now you're just being a bully. And
yeah, but I know I'm in the minority. Like, and I'm the most anti Cody Rhodes person there is. But yeah, I just cannot. That was like the legit final straw. In 3 months into his WWE return, I'm like, no, I'm already done. Like, no, whatever he's gonna do, I'm not here for it.
Look, man, I got one question for you, man. Why? Why? Like, what did he do to you?
I've said it for years. Like, I never thought he was that good. He was a solid mid-card worker in WWE the first time around. He goes on the indies and it's like, well, this guy obviously can't hang with the flippy dudes he thinks he can, and just again exposes him as a guy who's got the basics down. Nothing wrong with that. The star appeal, he did a good job with like this American Nightmare, the suits and the blonde hair. I'll give him credit for that, but it's like, but the way you're talking, it's like you can't match because you don't have the accomplishments. It's like Ric Flair can dress in the suits and the blonde hair and all that because he already had 8 world titles at the time, so he can keep going. You are 0-time WWE champion, 0-time world heavyweight champion, and you want to come on to the indies like, yeah, I'm that guy. It's like, all right, you wore face paint and did some cartwheels. Like, who you fooling?
What are you supposed to do? He's supposed to go in the indies.
No, but
like, yeah, y'all.
No, so then he wins the indies titles, and he's just like, see, I'm the king of the workhorses. It's like all these guys outworked you the entire time you were down here, whether it was the ROH world title, the NWA title. It's like,
yeah,
the over-reliance on, people give John Moxley shit for bleeding every match. Cody Rhodes on the indies is like, I gotta cut myself, brother. Like, I gotta bleed like my daddy would. Like, no.
Yeah, man. I like the fact, even when he was in the WWE, he got a lot of shit over. They handed him shit.
I respect him for that. Yeah, I mean, he can get stuff like that, but he can't get this idea of him being a great worker over. I never understood. Like, you're not that guy. You're not him. Like, is
he trying to be a great worker, or is he trying to be Cody Rhodes and just continue the legacy of being like the world champ and just trying to be made as a guy?
No, that's why he would do stuff like he would do the vertebreaker. He would do certain moves like, see, I can do these moves that you don't think someone like me could. He can't even do a moonsault. He does like that crooked moonsault to a cross body. I'm like, well, why are you even trying it then? It's like, and this is very like, oh, hater, energy, but like,
that's what we hear. That's why.
No, but I'm glad the rest of the year he was out, because I'm just like, thank you, free. Like, I had the same energy in AEW. That's the company he started, and he booked himself over there like some tyrant in the mid card. Again, I'm like, the Triple H comparisons all the time. Like, you want to beat, everyone wants to call him Cody Luther King. He beat 5 black wrestlers in the middle of the summer of 2020. Like, don't come at me like this man's for our people, for the culture. Like, no. He wasn't putting Isaiah Cassidy over, Mark Quinn over. So no.
I just feel like some respect is owed to Cody, because, like you said, he was never this guy in WWE. He was never this go hard, work rate guy like that, but still made people believe like he's important enough.
He lied to you, as Funk Flex said. He
did, but hey, look, you got to make it look good. That's where we at now. It's 2023 now. You got to make it look good, and Cody Rhodes does a great job of making it look good. I can tell you that.
I disagree. I strongly disagree.
Damn, you can't give him nothing. Let me go. Jeff Hardy, DUI. Man.
Ooh.
That's man. They AEW brung in Jeff Hardy. They about to give us another Hardy Boys reunion. They was on their way to the tag championships, and my boy, man, in DUI, and now I guess he's taking it to trial. He's more than likely he got to sit down some. I like Jeff Hardy. He doesn't, in my opinion.
Jeff Hardy doing time?
He got You have to enough with the slaps on the wrist for Jeff, man. Enough.
No, I agree.
Enough, man. We all love Jeff or loved him at some point. And it's just enough, man. It's like, how many second chances are you gonna get right now, bro? Like he really needs to sit down and think about shit. You got a family and all of this extra shit. You are privileged. You look how you left WWE. That's still a mystery depending on who side you believe and all of that stuff, how you walked out and all this extra stuff. Look, you go right to AEW, your brother there, you already hot shotted tag team division.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like you said, like he leaves WWE just by walking out middle of the show, a house show at that. Goes over there, immediately gets like, oh shit, Jeff Hardy's back. It's supposed to be this huge thing. And that's one of the real negative aspects of AEW to me, is the reliance on nostalgia. WWE does the same thing too. But when AEW is trying to preach new stars, diversity, all that, they were like, well, let's not forget, like, you like some of these old timers coming back. Like, we're going to get Matt Hardy. We got Christian Cage. We got Jeff Hardy. And now we got fucking Jeff Jarrett, which I'm like, oh my God, why? Like, Jeff Jarrett, like, but Jeff Hardy was the worst, because like they're gonna make this guy wrestle, and it's like, this guy shouldn't even be around anymore in terms of like the world of wrestling. I think it probably puts him in an unhealthy spot given his past troubles with substances and all that. And Matt Hardy, well, isn't a good influence because he's trying to think he can still work. It's like, you can't even move, man. Like, face it, 2022, I think, was really the year of like, people we grew up watching. Father Time is caught up. Goldberg, it's caught up. Edge, it's caught up. Christian Cage is still going about it, but that arm injury really like sidelined him. Before he was putting on decent matches with like Adam Cole and some other people, but again, this might be time to hang it up. Matt Hardy, Jeff Hardy, definitely Jeff Jarrett, because that's before our time a little bit even. But
yeah.
But Jeff Hardy and how he can leave one company like that, go into another, and there was something about that match at Double or Nothing with the Young Bucks where something seemed off. It was like, oh, I wouldn't be surprised if something comes out the next day, and then something does come out like the week later or whatever it was. It's like the math at some point, and you know what you're getting when you sign Jeff Hardy. That's what I'm like, Tony Khan, if you're supposed to be this fucking smart guy that you say you are, you can't sign Jeff Hardy. I know his brother's there. I know the Young Bucks love him, and they want to return that favor in terms of put the Hardys over like the Hardys put the Young Bucks over years ago. But like, it's 2022. We don't need to see that on a pay-per-view and eat up national television time.
I ain't gonna hold you. That I was with you into that last statement, because I definitely want to see that.
You want to see the Young Bucks, the Hardys again? Like,
yeah, man.
Oh.
At the time, like, probably not now, but at the time, yeah.
I was the one, because I'm like, oh, this guy, like, he's gonna. I mean, poor fucking Darby Allin, who's one of my favorite wrestlers, did the fucking Swanton bomb off the tallest ladder onto those chairs, and Jeff Hardy moved. It was just literally so like Jeff Hardy could pass the torch to Darby Allin, who was like the new stunt show guy who's going to do the crazy things in wrestling. It's like, but Darby Allin literally could have died that night when he landed on those chairs, just so people could be entertained by Jeff Hardy. And Jeff Hardy won that fucking match still, which was maybe even more ludicrous. That's when I get to like the booking of Tony Khan. I'm like, are you stupid or like?
Yeah, that was on a roll up too. I think he hit the coffin dropper and then he rolled him up or something like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, at that point, Jeff Hardy's like, I can't move, brother. I can't.
Like, oh man, I enjoyed that match too, just for those spots.
That's all it was those spots.
Yes, that's it. Like,
because it was 6 minutes of recovery time in between.
We talk about booking. That was great booking right there. That's how you book a match between those two, exactly like that.
But no, I do. At some point, the people who run these companies, not just the HR, but like the head guys in charge of Vince McMahon's, or now I guess Triple H and Stephanie, but Vince McMahon again, and the Tony Khan said to be like, you can't rely on people who have these past issues. And I know it's smart to give people a chance and all that, but like Jeff Hardy at this case is always going to be Jeff Hardy. It's been 20 years of this now in terms of like he's his own worst enemy. And it sucks to say that because he's an all-timer and a legend. Yeah, again, it's only getting worse because he's getting older. It's like you can't expect this man to keep up.
I want to go on AEW's mishandling of Miro and Wardlow this year.
Okay.
As far as Miro, where where are you?
Yeah.
Like, what's going on with that situation? Like, why is he's not on my television? Why is he not showing up? Why is Lana giving us updates on Miro?
Well, you know she's gonna talk just to talk. She
Yeah,
wants the attention more than anyone else. So her and
yeah.
Matt Hardy's wife.
You're
I guess
absolutely
all these wives, Karen Jarrett. I mean, yeah, all these wives who want the fame want to just do all the talking while the guys actually have to go and do the real work. Like,
yes, yes. But Tony Khan said he's like, it's nothing for him. It's nothing. How is there nothing for Miro? Like, what's going on?
you were a big Rusev guy, right?
I wouldn't say a big Rusev guy, but
Maybe
I
I'm thinking of Eve, maybe.
probably. But I'm not a big Rusev guy. But I enjoyed his time there.
Well, he was always solid in the ring. That was a fact.
Mm-hmm.
And he was the most throwback character, like the monster from a European country. Like, a guy's going to show up, squash, be like, I hate America, which is like, I don't think we need to still do that in the 2010s. We can kind of like dead that a little bit. He goes over to AEW and like he was misused from the jump with like the best man gimmick, like wearing like the Versace and Yeezys and just the blonde hair. It's like, what's going on? He had like that whole like arcade. It's just like, is this what you want to do? Because again, the whole point of going to AEW is you get to be who you want to be. There's no input. Tony Khan says like, what's your character? That's who you are. Then he throws it back to like, all right, I'm the monster heel who's going to squash everyone. His TNT title reign, I think people overrate it a bit because it was just him squashing jobbers. He had like one or two decent like matches in between, but it's like he beat up someone in 2 minutes, he beat up someone in 60 seconds. It's like it just kind of rinsed and repeat of like the monster heel who's going to take the title from. But he got injured in that Forbidden Door match, and then like you said, he hasn't been asked to come back because there's nothing for him. But even then, it was looking shaky, like him and the House of Black were feuding. He was kind of being lured to join them potentially, and they deaded that because he got injured, and now House of Black is back, and that's a team that kind of been misused as well. There was the whole Malachi Black, Buddy Matthews. They're taking some time. Brody King was still wrestling, but Malachi Black and Buddy Matthews come back. Wardlow is much more worse because they were doing the right thing by making him Goldberg, show up, do his moves, leave. The crowd got behind it. He betrayed MJF in terms of like he finally got away from the evil bad guy he's working for. Is going to be his own man. He beats the shit out of MJF, but MJF ends up stealing that stealing that spotlight with the pipe bomb promo just days after losing to Wardlow. So that kind of killed his momentum. It didn't help that Wardlow lost the title match to Scorpio Sky after winning the Revolution ladder match. Because it's like you should like now, and I had said this I think of when it happened. Like that's now 2 times the Revolution ladder match hasn't mattered because Scorpio Sky won the ladder match the year before, lost the title match. So it's the anti-Money in the Bank, which will begin to how Money in the Bank was used in 2022. I think that might be on your list because it's certainly on mine. But you can't have what is in. And I understand like this shouldn't always guarantee a title shot or a title change, I should say. Like come on, you're just making these guys look like losers if they're gonna win this match to lose the title match. He ends up beating Scorpio Sky and does nothing with the title. He's just Samoa Joe's tag team partner and then loses the title. Like, come on.
Yeah. And the momentum he had, Wardlow, like he had the crowd behind him. He had broke away from MJF. I'm like, okay, things is on.
I like him. I think
Yeah.
he's good too. I think he's got the physical tools. He's not a bad talker. He just, he's not a great talker. Like he can talk. It's just like there's nothing for him to say yet. But it's not like he stumbles and fumbles on the mic. He's got a good look. Again, and what's important, like you said, the crowd loves him. Like and he can do swanton bombs. He can do F5s. He can do it all. And it's a thing where maybe it hurts that he's technically one of these giants in the land of small guys. Like he stands out so much with the Darby Allins, the Adam Coles, the MJFs. Like he just towers over them. So it's like, should this guy be a good guy if if like 75% of the roster is small guys? I don't know if that hurts him or not, because it's the same thing like with Powerhouse Hobbs. Like, shouldn't he just run over this entire roster if he's bigger and stronger than them?
You know what I think? I think like the tiers in AEW is like drawn. Like you can just see like the top tiers from the mid. Like it's night and day. Like you could just see it so obviously, and it's just like you gotta blur the lines a little bit. Have Wardlow mix it up with some of those guys that's in a tier above him. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like I just don't see. I'm trying to think of any reason to put on them to like make me believe why they fumbled so much with Wardlow, because it was like, what went wrong? I seriously don't know. They just not liking him. I don't get it.
I think I had said this majority of last year. I think I did a whole episode about it too with Cal on White Noise. But like that TNT title became cursed when Sammy Guevara won it, and that stuff with his fiance, it came out right after. Like he proposed to her the night he wins the title. Weeks later, people find out he's with Ty Mello. So that's like, oh, this guy's not the babyface we were supposed to cheer for. So like they turn him heel mid-title reign in a way because he loses it to Cody Rhodes, and then Cody Rhodes can't make the next match because he's sick, and I didn't believe that at all either.
He don't believe nothing.
If you're saying you're sick, it's just like something's in play. So it's setting up the next match, just like so Cody Rhodes wasn't sick. They set up Sammy Guevara, Cody Rhodes for that ladder match to be the undisputed TNT champion. Then Sammy Guevara, Scorpio Sky had that back and forth through the TNT title, again, a meaningless feud. The TNT title was supposed to be a title defended weekly, not trapped in like a month and a half long feud. Like that's why, to me, and not just a favoritism, but like Darby Allin was the best TNT champion because like for 5-6 straight weeks, he would defend that title and the main event of Dynamite, like against any challenger. That's what it's supposed to be. And Orange Cassidy's basically doing that now with the All Atlantic title, and that's why he's the best wrestler in the company over there.
I ain't gonna hold you. You mentioned Darby Allin. I wanted to put him in this as well too, because they kind of did some fumbling with him as well. But
I think they were saving him for what's about to happen now. That's why. I think it's also good that they were trying to. That's the thing with AEW. They'll try to cycle men and women out, but they'll cool off on the people that are on TV consistently. You know what I mean? Like you're saying, like Wardlow is on TV all the time, but like he does nothing of importance. He's in tag matches. He had one great title defense against Orange Cassidy for the TNT title, and like really didn't defend it consistently after that. He was in tag matches with Samoa Joe, and then finally Powerhouse Hobbs shows up, and Samoa Joe betrays him, and that's the TNT title change that we end up getting. But like the TNT title is now cursed. What Samoa Joe was doing with like AR Fox and Darby Allin before losing it to Darby Allin this past week is how it should be used. Like you have a match on TV in the middle of the show or the main event. It doesn't need to be trapped in a feud. And that's what happened all year. And I think that's what hurt Wardlow once he got this title. It's like they put him in the feud where he should have just been facing, like you said, either the people below him or he needs to challenge someone like a John Moxley to see he can hold his own against the top guys.
Exactly. And that's what goes
the Eddie Kingstons, you know, people who are constantly on TV to show like Wardlow's for real if he's in the ring with these guys.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I think. It's like I think they have their plans. They obviously have their champions and everything planned out for months in advance. And they just see someone catching this fire like this, and they just like, well, it's not in the plans. We gotta find something else. And like that's what I think probably mishandled them as well, too. It's just not part of the plan right now. So we gotta find something for you to like, we don't got nothing, cool. We're gonna hold back on you. And that's another thing where it's just like you gotta roll with the flow. You see this guy heating up. Let's build him up, man.
It's because every Dynamite has a formula. Like Chris Jericho has to have his segment, John Moxley has to have his segment, MJF has to have his segment. There's always a women's segment, and then everyone else is kind of lost in the shuffle. Who's in it this week? Who's in like? It will be Ricky Starks this week. It'll be Hangman Page this week instead. It'll be Darby Allin this week instead. They'll kind of constantly flip it. They almost have a template, but then like you said, like, so what happens when Miro is clear now and can come back? What happens to House of Black when they are cleared and come back? Now Kenny Omega's back, so he has to have one of those guaranteed spots.
Mm-hmm.
The Lucha Bros are people who should always be on TV. Keith Lee, and that's the thing. I did a whole other White Noise too about the people who went from WWE to AEW in the midst of the pandemic, and Keith Lee was someone who kind of I think was the real actual success of like switching over. He won the AEW World Tag Titles. I'm not an FTR guy, but they in this last year proved that it was a better shot of them being successful in the AEW than in WWE. But they were floundering all of 2021 was the thing. Like it was like these guys showed up to do what they thought they were the best tag team. They had to win 3 other titles that aren't even in the company for them to be important. That's a whole nother conversation.
I'm happy you're seeing the light. You're
Oh
here.
no, I'm
You're
anti
here,
FTR if you want to go there, but
you're here,
but
my
like I said,
brother. You see what's going down. They tried to tell you from the get-go, best tag team in the
oh,
business.
I didn't see it. No, I'm like, it's easy to be great in tag matches against American Alpha or DIY. Like it's easy to like, hold your own against two great tag teams. And then like on the main roster, I said this yesterday with Cal Banks, like how great were those matches with the Usos or the New Day? Because I don't remember any of those. Like
Facts. They had one. Now I don't like. let me not jump out the window. I don't remember them, but I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure they was good. Like, come on now.
The fact that you say I'm pretty sure is just like the stamp of like, well, it's the Usos and the New Day. They never really have bad matches with tag teams at most of the time. But yeah, I mean, unless it's Rick Boogs and Shinsuke Nakamura, because that match was horrible at Mania.
At Mania?
Yeah. The man's got injured halfway through, so I can't blame that on them.
Yeah, that shit was very ass.
But no, it's Miro. They sign these people because they have the ex-WWE stamp. Like you've seen them on TV, you might like them. And Tony Khan, I think, just likes to buy toys and stash them, and then he can use them later. Except it's always like toys of him. Like he doesn't want to play with this toy anymore. And then all of a sudden, like, oh, you know what? I haven't played with this one in a while. Let's see what I can do. Like, but the fact that like some of these toys have an ego, like Chris Jericho, MJF, who constantly want their 20 minutes on TV, it is a detriment to everyone else on the roster. Andrade is one of these people too. Like he had the worst of 2022. He didn't do a goddamn thing.
Yeah.
Like,
and now
it sucks. And I thought he was that guy in the ring. Like, and you can't even do that.
Damn. Yeah, man. Andrade. They did Andrade filthy too, man. Andrade,
they gave him Vicky Guerrero and Chavo Guerrero. Then they left like 2 weeks in. That's the thing with AEW. It's Jay Cargill gets Smart Mark Sterling. Then she gets Stokely Hathaway, and then she fires Stokely Hathaway, and then just has the baddies, and then all four of the baddies are back together once Red Velvet returns, and the baddies are broken up. Like they kick Kiera Hogan out, and now Red Velvet's between. Again, it's this booking of like, do you not know what to do with these people when like it's? Again, I think it's the thing where like the inmates run the asylum more often than not.
Mm-hmm.
Like Jay Cargill, I think, says, no, I need to face Kiera Hogan. I need to face Red Velvet now. Like the story of like them being bitter at her is better than the four of us running shit. I'm like, four of y'all running shit could have been more entertaining for 2 months, and then they could be bitter if you take all the shot. Like if you take all the credit, like it's a girl group,
Yeah.
But yeah.
Ooh, got valid points, man. AEW got a lot of shit going down, man. And I'm trying not to. This leads perfectly to this next topic.
Worst.
Yes. Tony Khan's mismanagement. You know what I'm saying? Him just not being a great leader. I have to leave it at that. I have to leave it at that.
There's nothing more to say.
Because there's so much you could put under that. It's so much.
Yeah. We basically were just doing it like these key people who, and maybe, unfortunately, maybe they weren't the stars we thought they were. It's, I think, easy to be a star in NXT when someone like Triple H is so focused on you for these 6 months. Mm-hmm. Like when Triple H locked in on Shinsuke Nakamura, he was locked in. Shinsuke Nakamura was that guy. When he locked in on Bobby Roode was that guy. When he locked in on, so on and so forth. Like these people were stars because they had all his attention. Then those people would come up. Someone else would now fill that spot. And then Triple H is like, all right, you get all the attention now.
Exactly.
Tony Khan is like, none of you get the attention because I'm so scatterbrained with doing this. And I got a football team to run. I got a soccer team to run. I just bought Ring of Honor. I'm trying to get that off the ground. And that's maybe a thing that hurt AEW in 2022 was the incorporation of ROH into regular AEW programming with not just like Chris Jericho winning the ROH World title. That made sense in terms of like, it's a good accomplishment to keep someone like him going, but we're having ROH title matches on AEW TV. It's like, we really don't need this right now. Like we got to focus on, again, that's why the Wardlow run was so mid. It's like this guy needs the title match on TV, not the tag titles, because these two guys are pissed that they're not the tag champs anymore in terms of FTR. It's like, don't don't put your own people down because people are going to be upset and cry on Twitter. Like that's always going to happen. Like it's Twitter. That's what everyone uses it for. But
it's just like, how about you go out there and put the people the fans want on the show? Like, forget why are you putting this? Like Tony Khan's mismanagement, it goes like, yo, the fights this year, Sammy Guevara, Eddie Kingston, Punk and the Elite, like all of this shit that's going on behind the scenes just goes to show, like, I'm not even talking about in the ring. I'm not even talking about what you put on like all the stuff behind the scenes. You got what's my man's name? Dude, Ace Steel biting
people.
Like, what's going on?
They said CM Punk hit Matt Jackson with a chair. It's like, or what?
Yeah,
threw a chair at him and knocked him out
because his dog got hit by the door or something.
Yeah, they said Andrade showed up looking to fight Sammy Guevara after like 2 months ago. We just found out Eddie Kingston fought Sammy Guevara. Like, but it's also like, so Sammy Guevara gets to be rewarded with being on TV if he's kind of like the main factor of antagonism. Like, I mean, like maybe we shouldn't put this guy on TV, and not just because like his past comments about Sasha Banks or anything like that, or the fact that this man proposed to a woman he knew he was going to break up with. He proposed for some cheap pop. Like I saw that coming. Like, come on, like this guy is just an asshole. It is what it is, or But mismanagement backstage leads to mismanagement on the program. Like look at who we've talked about being misused, and look at how these stories are the same. And that's what I hated over like, oh my, do you only know how to book like Vince Russo? So Christian Cage betrays Jungle Boy.
Yes.
Luchasaurus then betrays Jungle Boy.
Sad.
Luchasaurus then tries to betray Christian Cage, and at the end, Luchasaurus sides with Christian Cage. Okay, that's one story. Chris Jericho starts the JAS. Daniel Garcia joins the JAS.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel Garcia then wants to join Blackpool Combat Club, but then he tries to join. He rejoins the JAS. This is the same story in two different feuds. Like, do you not know any other story besides you go over there, but you're a sleeper agent just to come back? So the betrayal is that, no, it's like, that's Vince Russo booking. Like, and that's why that company died. Like,
yeah. I feel like Tony Khan, he just booked the show in like his iPhone notes. Just like, oh, that'd be dope. Let me just write that down. We gonna do this and just keep it pushing.
What was the biggest? Is it the how the fight broke down? Is that like the biggest, like this guy doesn't know how to run a company to you?
Yeah, I feel like that's when you realize that, because the Sammy Guevara, the Eddie Kingston things, that was before that, right?
Yeah, because they were supposed to have that match at All Out.
Yeah, so all of that was before, and it's just like, all right. Even then, we was on a show,
and then Andrade, Sammy's after All Out, so it's like 3 fights in probably 2 months, like.
So we was like, at the time, hey, Tony, you gotta get your locker room together. You gotta hold it down. It's like, and plus we at the time it was the what's Shorty name? I think that happened too around there. Not Swerve. What's Shorty name? Shorty that left. It was Leo Rush was leaving. He had problems with it, with Shorty coming out.
Oh, Big Swole.
Yeah. Big Swole. Yeah, there we go. It was just a lot of shit going on at the time. Just like that was still fresh.
Big Swole, I think, was the end of last year or the top of this year.
Yeah, and
it was one of those things that like lit the fuse to like kickstart everything. Like, this guy doesn't know. Again, he lets the people run shit, which is good in terms of like he's not a demanding boss, but he's just not a boss at all.
Exactly.
But aren't they saying that the Celtics coach is like that? He just lets the guys play how they want to play.
Shouts out to the Celtics coach, because he's working for him.
That's what I'm saying. So I guess maybe it doesn't work for Tony Khan AEW. Maybe.
Yeah. You
maybe he needs to say like, no, Chris Jericho, you aren't on TV this week. But the network says they want Chris Jericho on TV. And I don't mean to just harp on Chris Jericho, but it's that thing where like he knows like what is needed. But again, like these ratings, they'll dip up and down. Like this past Wednesday, you thought it would be a great rating because it was a great show, but it was a bad rating. It's like, what? Like,
yeah. Did
no one tune in even though the show seemed amazing? And that's the hard part about business too, like what draws and what doesn't. But he can't control CM Punk. I mean, he probably could, but like saying shit he shouldn't say about the people who are in charge of the company. But yeah, I mean, that was still insane the way that all broke down. And I mean, how you stop it is you just cut the mics. If that man goes on and calls someone an empty head a dumb fuck and says like these guys can't run a company, they can't even run a fucking Target, just be like, cut the mics. Like you've probably had a guest, or there have been a time on the show where you've been like, let's stop right now and try to pick it back up in a few minutes. Like this ain't working.
Yeah, like that's the end of it. All you got to do is shut shit down. All right, y'all, we holla at y'all. We out.
Yeah,
that's it.
Well, let's not put out that episode. Let's re-record a new one tomorrow. But no, but to cash in the Money in the Bank briefcase on the U.S. title is like, that's not how the game is played. No, like we've had this briefcase for it'll be 17 years at that point. Like it's never been used so meaningless than at that very moment.
He cashed in on the U.S. title and still lost. Like you might as well just went to Rome and then lost.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's what? I would. When he showed up on that NXT right before Braun Breaker, Ilya Dragunov, and JD McDonough had their match, I'm like, if Austin Theory went back to NXT, won the title for a couple months, that would make sense, to be honest.
Yeah,
like he needs a reboot. This Vince McMahon, new chosen one isn't working for him. He needs to go back there, put on some matches, lose to Braun Breaker, lose the title back to Braun Breaker, and come back up to the main roster. Like that would have helped him a lot more than losing it in the U.S. title match and then having to be like, you know what? People put all these hopes and expectations on me that I'm gonna move past that. Blah blah blah. It's like okay, yeah, it just didn't work. And again, I'm not mad that someone loses the briefcase. Again, it kind of works that it's not always a guarantee, but to lose it for the U.S. title is the bigger joke. Of like, wow. At least try, like, shoot the biggest shot. Don't try for a mid-range jumper. Like,
nah, even like just the fact how he won it. He wasn't even announced for the match or anything. But
that's Vince McMahon booking, as we talked with the Rumble. Like, who's going to win the match? The guy not advertised. That's who.
It's like, damn, man, we ain't even going to talk about the women's Money in the Bank and what she done with that. She took her. What she won.
No. That was the correct thing happened. She won the title. She had a decent run. You anti-Liv Morgan?
A decent run.
Yeah. They kept making her face Ronda Rousey was the thing. And like, no. Like, she had a good match with Shayna Baszler. They told a good story.
You talk about Seth and Cody being unbelievable. I'm supposed to believe Liv Morgan pick up W's over Ronda Rousey?
Yeah.
Did you see what Liv Morgan was
doing?
At
least she's 100% healthy compared to a guy who can't even lift his own arm to like.
Nah, Chief. I'm not.
No, that's my argument. People are like, how can I believe Liv Morgan could beat Ronda Rousey? How can a man with one arm beat a fully healthy Seth Rollins? Seth Rollins is 800 times the better worker than Ronda Rousey. Like,
yeah, he got me there.
Just because Ronda Rousey can beat her ass in real life and everyone's ass in real life doesn't mean like she should in the wrestling ring. Like,
that's where I'm going next. We're going to go to Ronda next, but you're absolutely right.
Well, it does coincide with Liv Morgan. You enjoy Liv Morgan's run with the Money in the Bank / women's title?
Liv Morgan, like, look, I want to be nice. She did improve. Don't get me wrong. She has shown out of that tier of women that we know are legit and like contenders, like that next crop, she's probably the head of those.
She's top of the B tier, yeah, for sure.
Okay, so look,
now since Naomi's gone, even though Naomi would kind of be like the last one in the A tier, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. I definitely agree. I would put Naomi there as well, but in that tier, she's like the head right there. So
yeah.
Why not? You know what I'm saying? Why not give her opportunity? I'm not mad at that. Cool, let's do it. The fact, just how it went down, all these fluke wins and all this bullshit, it's just like, now, and like, she cashed in, she got that off. Cool, you get that off. And then in the next pay-per-view, she beat her again. It's like, all right, see, now she could have lost it right there. It could have been a better way to her to retain that title, like disqualification. Something like but
then that makes you a weaker champion. It's better for you to win by like roll-ups in the skin of your teeth.
It didn't work either way.
Yeah, but that's what's always tough when you have to book like, and this is why I think the story of like a babyface champion who constantly defends the title doesn't work anymore. It's that no-win situation, but right after she loses, the crowd then wants to cheer for Liv Morgan again because she starts doing these crazy stunts. It's like, what do you want? What do you want? Like,
Man, yeah, that's another thing, man.
because we didn't want Ronda Rousey with the title because look what we got after that.
Look, man, we here. Hold on, I can't hold it.
Yeah, no, we're here. We're here.
I can't hold it much longer. I can't.
Worst.
Ronda Rousey is the worst wrestler of 2022. I don't even think it's close.
So you're saying her run this year was worse than that first run?
Hell yeah.
Okay. I agree too, but I'm just saying.
I don't even think it's close.
No, I agree, but it's that thing like, but now will we look back like that first run not being as good? You know what I mean? Like we always kind of have like those moments in hindsight where we'll put on our glasses and be like, oh, maybe Ronda Rousey wasn't even that good to begin with. So, but no, the Ronda Rousey thing this year was she came back and she hurts herself by what she says about working for them more than what she does actually in WWE. Again, it doesn't help that she's not the best talker. She's okay as a wrestler, but I think we all factor in what she says about wrestling's fake, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. It's just a job. Is that an issue for you?
Nah, that's not for me personally, but I can see why people would factor that in. Mm-hmm. It's just like the promos complete ass, like complete ass. The matches complete ass. At least give me something. You got to give me one or the other to like. It's just like you giving me ass leading into more ass. It's just like
not in the good way. Like
yeah, it's like that's the main thing. It's just
which is why I always think it's funny when people say ass. I'm like, shouldn't ass be a good thing? Like
true. Yeah, but it's just funny. It's just funny to me. Like it's just like you did nothing. You don't give me nothing to want to see the match. And then once the match happens, this shit is garbage. And look, another thing that should go into account, and is not all Ronda Rousey's fault, is the people they throwing at her.
Yes, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's what speaks to why Sasha Banks left and Naomi joined her. Is that right after winning those women's tag titles, they were like, Sasha, you face. Well, Charlotte, but I think it also could have been Ronda Rousey at that point. I don't know if the title had changed hand. And then Naomi, you faced Bianca, but she was like, we're the tag champs. We should face tag teams. Just because you don't have any other good women to put up against these single champions doesn't mean you have to put us against them. Because again, they failed to do a job of elevating women from the C tier to the B tier. Again, like that tier is probably like Liv Morgan. Like Dakota Kai now because she came back. Candice LeRae, I think, is kind of in that B tier. But again, it's like Dana Brooke. So some of these other women they've had, and Natalia's always a workhorse. I mean, how many times they tried 3 different times with Lacey Evans this year, and I only mean 3 different times in terms of like she had 2 matches and it's just been promos, vignettes.
Lacey Evans is here too. Her character is here. With the character changes, she's here. But I don't think we could dive any deeper on
Well, no, it's like cut your losses. Just like with Aaliyah, like cut your losses. These women don't work out. Like
Aaliyah got fired?
No, I'm saying like you should fire her. It's not working.
Yeah.
No, I mean at some point a loss is a loss. Like you got to cut them. Like this is year 6 of someone being signed to your team. Like they're still averaging the same points or doing the same. Like nah.
Worst.
We're gonna go into Tessa Blanchard leaving another company. They brought back WoW. Basically just to get Tessa's name back in good graces, in my personal opinion. They wanted to center it around her. And she had a falling out. She was training talent, got into an argument, and all of this didn't work out. So once again, Tessa Blanchard is on the worst of the year. Nothing new here.
Is she more of a headache than Antonio Brown?
And put me on the spot.
Because you mean like they have the talent, but when you sign them immediately after like that contract is signed, you're like, what the fuck did we just do? Like when this goes south, it's gonna go extremely south.
Might be, man. I mean, Antonio Brown, he made it through a season.
But not this season was the thing, right? Like,
damn sure.
Yeah,
did.
that's the thing. Like, just like she showed up to WoW, like didn't even make it through the first season of WoW. Like, I think she's Antonio Brown.
Damn, man. Tessa is Antonio Brown. Next thing she knows,
I don't know if anyone's ever said that, to be honest. And she would probably hate that comparison, given her.
She gonna be in the pool.
No, her leaving Impact was being in the pool. Now, like this, her and WoW was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah, Tessa hates this comparison, like you said.
Yeah, she's like, how dare they?
Especially coming from you. Oh man.
Oh, that's she's like, she would call me one of them lovers. I'd be like, whoa.
Yeah.
A race betrayer.
Yeah.
But no, I think she is, because it's like again, like Antonio Brown, like put him on the field, he can make plays. Put her in the ring, like she can wrestle. Even though I really never watched her like that, but I mean, that's the rep with her.
Mm-hmm.
And again, you sign them thinking, because I didn't want to compare her to Kyrie, because it's not like what she has said has gotten her in trouble, but it's just more like she shows up to a team, wants to do it her way. Like Antonio Brown, it goes south, then she's like, well, I want to get out of here. And they're like, but you just signed this deal. And he's like, I want to get out of here. Like, that's her and all these companies. It's like, there's nowhere else for her to go. Because, like, I don't think AEW is going to ever sign her with the stigma she has, because that's even worse PR than WWE signing her.
Yeah. And it's sad, man.
But yeah, all right, so Tessa Blanchard, we're back. That's back to back, or is that 3 straight worst of the years for her? I think it would be 3 straight if I'm not.
Yeah, it would have to be 3 straight.
Because 2020 is when all that shit happened with her in the comments. It happened right like 2 months before the pandemic, and then 2021, it's all that stuff of like she's trying to come back, and then WoW starts and last year. So yeah, it's. Do you feel bad for Tully Blanchard?
Do I feel bad for her?
No, for Tully Blanchard.
Oh, nah. You know what I'm saying? That has to come from somewhere. So that makes me question things a little bit. I ain't gonna lie. It's just like, what's going on in that household? Like, well, you know what I'm saying? But
she's no John Morant's dad. I mean, he's no John Morant's dad.
No, not at all.
Not a good influence.
It's just like, to be honest, it is sad. It is sad to see, because someone who was at the height of the height, you know what I'm saying, a woman becoming Impact World Champion, and basically she was about to, if it all went right, until she posted that tweet, she was like, y'all gotta support women when we doing some dope shit. It's like, you could have take that one. You could have just not do it. Like, you could have let that one stay in the drafts. And who knows if all of this would have been the trickle down effect, the beginning of it. It's sad, because like it's talented, very talented. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, all of this removed, it would be nice to see where she ended up at and what her ceiling would be if we didn't have all of this into effect. You got the name, you got the talent, all of this package, this nice package is just like right there, and us as fans don't get to see how it plays out.
I think she hurt herself by not signing with AEW right away when she could have had the chance. Like, because she won that match at All In, and it was like, all right, they're gonna need, once there was talks like they're actually gonna start a promotion, and it'll be Cody, the Bucks, Kenny Omega, a few of their close friends, Hangman Page, Marty Scurll, who, I mean, less said about him the better, but he was someone who again shot himself in the foot by, like, I don't know how they could have protected him if what ended up happening in terms of like coming out, but like he bet on himself, like she bet on herself. it didn't work out. So like instead of her going to AEW from day one and being like the anchor of that women's division, I think she would have the talent to carry a lot of those women too, like how someone like Toni Storm has when she got there and just was able to have the best matches with some of the women that still are very raw and are just a lot of potential. I think Tessa Blanchard could play that same role as well, but I just never really saw much of her to be like, I don't know if she's as good as Charlotte Flair in terms of like, again, the daughters of the Four Horsemen to be on that level, but who knows?
Worst.
WWE's handling of the walkout of Sasha Banks and Naomi.
Okay, I didn't want to bring this up because I feel like we've all talked about it all year basically, unfortunately. Because it was like, what's the next update? What's the next update? And then people would put out, well, here's the real story. That wasn't the real story. And then someone put out a tweet like the contract's up at the end of January, and that turned out to be true. But like that could have been a shot in the dark. You never know sometimes with these reports.
Facts.
Because then she could come out on TV 2 weeks later and people were like, oh, wow. Like, but, did you agree with them in the moment when you found out like the story? I did.
With Sasha and Naomi, or did I agree with WWE?
Yeah, Sasha and Naomi, yeah.
Okay. Look, I'm here for people knowing their worth. And if you have people in your locker room that care that much, regardless, you're going to get paid. You go out there and just go out there and get paid, regardless of what you do. I have people in my locker room that care that much. So like, no, we want to be treated right. We want to put on the best product. I'm way better than this. This doesn't make sense. Like, that's a good thing to have those people in your locker room, in my personal opinion, and just having people come up there and just be like, hey, man, I'm getting paid. I don't care if I go out there and do whatever. I agree. I'm on their side. I'm always on the side of people like that.
Yeah.
Always.
Who's a draw, who isn't, who's expendable, who isn't, who. And for Sasha Banks, the majority of her time there, it seemed like she was a star, no doubt, but it was on his terms. You know what I mean? It's like I say you're top of the card when I say it. Whereas like Charlotte Flair, I'm saying I also like Charlotte Flair a lot too, but like Charlotte Flair's perennial top of the card. Becky Lynch ascended to the top and took that spot from Sasha Banks. Bayley and her were in terms of like the Four Horsemen, Sasha and Bayley were almost on even playing field, and then not really out of nowhere, Bianca Belair comes and surpasses all of them. So it's I think where you got to continue to make room, and there's so many spots in terms of the two women's titles. So Sasha Banks is like, well, we should have tag titles, and these should matter. Let's make a big deal out of these. And those tag titles, everyone said, have been like the biggest joke besides the 24/7 title. In terms of like you'll put Alexa Bliss and Nikki ASH together, and that's a tag team, or like not Nia and Shayna. You will just put these Raquel and Aaliyah. Like, come on now, like let's stop playing games. Like that's why that's a worst of the year. Aaliyah and Raquel beating Io Sky and Dakota Kai in the finals just to change the titles a week later because it was too predictable for the best tag team to win the tournament. It's like, stop being dumbasses. Make smart decisions. Make the obvious. Like, if you're already going to make the obvious, we don't need to be swerved, and no one's going to be mad that, oh, this tournament was so easy to predict. That's the whole point of you having the best tag team win, because it's that point of like, I can't believe Aaliyah and Raquel beating Io Sky and Dakota Kai, two of the best women in the company. Like, come on now.
Yeah.
But I'm glad to see that at least she's doing what she wants in Japan. I think, and again, she'll definitely be back in WWE. That's how it works for everyone.
Definitely. This year, hopefully, too.
I think next year for sure. I think 2024 Rumble she'll be back.
Okay.
I think she'll have a full year of doing what she wants. She'll come back. Hopefully they back up the Brinks truck. Hopefully they back up. They give her the schedule she wants in terms of, I think she wants to do what Roman Reigns did. I want to be Brock Lesnar. I want to show up when I want to. I want to get paid like I want. And it's that's what happened. Roman Reigns said, I want to be, this is what I want. And you're not going to lose me. So give me what I want. And they're like, okay. But for them to go on TV too and say, they walked out and they were selfish and blah, blah. They did the same thing in Stone Cold. He took his ball, he went home, and this is the guy who made the company what it was from the late 90s to the early 2000s. And again, it was the same thing. You don't see what I'm worth anymore. I'm just supposed to go out and jog to Brock Lesnar on a random Monday with no build. Fuck you. I'm out of here. Like, yeah. And hopefully it works out. I think Naomi will be back sooner than Sasha will in terms of I think Naomi will be back probably within the next few months.
Yeah.
Because there's no report on her contract situation. I think she's just standing by her friend, making sure she's settled, and then Naomi will have an amazing return. Hopefully, recapture the women's title, and we'll see from there. We're not doing prediction show, but that situation and everyone flip flopping on. Do you stand with a company because they pay you? Meanwhile, how many times have you or someone you know walk out on a job because they felt like they weren't getting what they deserved? We've all done it at some point. Like, this job ain't worth it. I'm going to leave. It's life. They felt that way and like, it's not worth it to me. And they're independent contractors at the end of the day. They can do what they want.
I agree. I'm going to have to agree. Like, you hit the nail right on the head with everything, man. I just like how they went on TV and try to shit on them. And like, and the fans as well. Like the fans as well, trying to shit on them as well. Like Austin walked out, Ultimate Warrior. A lot of people like walked out.
CM Punk walked out, yeah.
CM Punk, a lot of these people walked out because you want to know why? They knew their worth. And sorry if y'all don't know y'all worth. I'm sorry if y'all don't realize what you have. I'm sorry if you don't realize what you bring to the table. And I just don't understand like with people bashing and try to like I would never understand that. You know what I'm saying? But as far as Naomi coming back this year in a couple months, I agree with that. Sasha, you said next year for sure. I agree with that. You know, they all come back to the WWE. Sasha run it up on the Indies, on New Japan, probably go to AEW for a match. Who knows, man? Like
I definitely think she'll at least have like 4 or 5 dates in AEW. Most of the time will be in Japan and maybe a match or two in Mexico, but it'll be she's at least will go show up in AEW for a match or two.
Yeah, the possibilities are endless, man. And I hope she does run it up and come back and they can realize her worth.
Yeah.
Worst.
Vince McMahon.
Okay.
Duh.
Well, what Vince McMahon? What exactly? Like I said earlier, coming out on TV saying I'm not leaving just to quit, just to retire the next week.
These allegations.
Well, I didn't want to go that. I wasn't trying to get too dark on this episode. We're not trying to do Dark Side of the Ring.
It's the worst. It's the worst of the year. I mean, it doesn't get any worse than that.
Are you surprised though? Come on.
I'm not surprised at all.
Exactly. It's Vince McMahon. Watch the TV show. You know damn well this man wasn't playing a character.
I'm not surprised at all.
That's the real him on TV.
It's the amount of money though.
When you're that rich, you have to pay that much. Like,
that's mad money. Like, Vince, what are you doing?
I guess the thing we glossed over at the Rumble was the Shane McMahon thing. What did you think about that? If Shane McMahon coming back for the Rumble, getting fired the next day. How do you get fired on your day off? Like,
yeah, that's part of that. Yeah, that's part of that Rumble. Yeah,
making his own son a patsy because of his bad booking. Like I think they planted that story because I don't think no way Shane McMahon's like, I'm going to come in, I'm going to do all this and that and blah blah blah. And it's like I think Shane McMahon is selfish, but not to that extent of like I should be one of the last 4 in the Rumble or blah blah what they said he was doing. I think the next day they saw the reaction and Vince was like, "Oh, that was a terrible Rumble. Blame it on Shane because he hates his own son." So
that's what I think too. Because like, when have you ever heard something like that with Shane? Like, we've been watching wrestling all our lives. Like,
well, you have to think about it from he is one of the few people who gets the cheat codes for all his matches. Like Shane McMahon can go out and have any match he wants. Like he can do all the crazy stunts and impress the crowd because he's the boss's son. But at least he still did all the work to do all those spots. Like he's willing to be like, yeah, throw me through the glass. I know people are going to love it, but like I still have to take this crazy ass bump. So I'm hurting just as much. It's that thing I always respect about him where like he's the billionaire son who at least is going to like show you like I'm a tough guy too. At least I'm not one of these wimpy billionaire sons. No, yeah, but you're right. Like Vince McMahon, just his stubbornness the last obviously 20 years with creative decisions, business decisions, taking the Saudi bag and not giving a fuck about the PR that came with it. Basically doubling down, to be honest. He said, we went once, we're going for the next 10 years. Like, free up.
I actually respect that. I ain't gonna lie.
Even when they got stuck on the tarmac, he's like, well, same time next year, right?
Make sure the direct deposit hit. That's it.
Yeah. And how he's again releasing all the people during the pandemic, keeping the show running during the pandemic, even when people were testing positive for COVID. His moral compass, we've known it's broken. Like, he has no morals. This is not an honorable man. No rich man is an honorable man.
Mans went out on SmackDown, said 3 words and dipped.
And then jumped off the top of the steps and somehow didn't like shatter his whole body.
Word. This coming from a man who slid in the ring and tore both his quads.
He almost did like the yippee jump, like coming off the top steps. Like,
So when he did that on SmackDown, I was like, yeah, this ain't over. Like, you do some shit like that, it's mad more shit about to come out.
And then when he's retired, he goes like, there are these pictures of him and his like awfully dyed hair, trying to look younger, but it's like you look like you're dying, sir. No offense, but like you aged. Like, and the way he speaks, I was like, well, Austin, you know what this is right here?
You could barely understand him. Like,
yeah, it's like I don't like those backstage segments with him and Austin. I'm like, can you like mic them better? Like, because he's like, Austin, I think you and Austin Theory's just like, what? Like doing the what? Like,
right.
And it's crazy how the new year starts of him being like, what should I do to kick off 2023? I'm going to elect myself chairman of the board again. And you know, these 2 people I fired, I'm bringing them back. Like,
legend.
I mean, you watched Succession, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So obviously, I mean, I do as well. Anyone who watches Succession can make the obvious, ever since 2019, you can see the obvious comparisons between Logan Roy and Vince, Kendall Roy and Shane McMahon, Shiv and Stephanie. It all basically writes itself. And Succession's about the Murdoch family more than anything, but it does have some McMahon tendencies because Tom is Triple H in terms of like this son-in-law who's married to this woman whose father's in control. But yeah, and that's the crazy part. Is like this man said, well, they forced me out of the company when I don't think it was that big of a deal. Like, that was his whole thing the whole time. It's like they said you should go, Pop. It's this is the PR. It's not looking good. He's like, well, I don't want to leave, and they're like, no, you should go before stuff happens. And the stock prices jump when he announces his return, which is the crazy part. Is they still believe in this man as a businessman, even though the XFL failed twice and he couldn't get anything off the ground that wasn't wrestling related. So. Yeah, Vince McMahon, American entrepreneur. Here's the last one, to be honest, and everyone will probably hate me for it. So Extreme Rules ends with the return of Bray Wyatt. And that was in mid to late September. And what did Bray Wyatt do for the rest of the year?
Not a goddamn
not a goddamn thing. He came back with a fire theme. I'll give him that. That theme was insane.
To each his own.
You ain't rocking with it?
To each his own.
I think it's dope. And he just comes out and he tries to cut this amazing heartfelt promo on his first night back and speaking about what he was going through, and then it ends with a masked figure cutting through the TV. So I'm like, oh, what you just said doesn't mean fucking shit anymore, because now it's all part of the story. And that's where like you can't be real and fake at the same time for your story. And with him, he wants to do that. And I'm like, I'm not rocking with it. I try to defend him as a decent worker when he was Bray Wyatt, the cult leader. I thought he was good at matches. They just gave him bad storylines and bad booking. I hated everything involving The Fiend. We spoke on that numerous times. And for him to come back and do this, and everyone has to say, "Well, take your time. It's a long story. There's more to it. He's building the Six and Uncle Howdy. Uncle Howdy is just his brother in a mask and a wig. Fuck off. Like,
let's be honest.
and his brother was bad. Come on. Like, let's not say like Bo Dallas was that guy.
He wasn't.
Yeah,
He wasn't.
You like merchandise, you like cheering to a song, you like the lights going out, you like all the smoke and mirrors, fairy dust, shenanigans, bullshit, but he's going to wrestle LA Knight in a match where the lights are turned off. That's what's going to sponsored by Mountain fucking Dew. And it's a Mountain Dew presents Pitch Black match. Fuck off.
Mountain Dew presents. You don't get this bullshit out my TV screen.
So yeah, Bray Wyatt, I didn't want him back. I was pissed when they were starting all that. He's coming back, and they did a little follow the White Rabbit. I'm like, oh my god, like no, because like everyone's gonna fall for the same thing. And now it was literally a month and a half later. I think he was one tweeting from the account like, what's gonna happen? Why is Bray Wyatt wrestling me? I'm like, see, they called me a madman. I said this guy was a fraud, just like Dwayne Johnson was a fraud, and now I look like a prophet, which I am. So,
all right, man, and there you have it. That's the worst of 2022. Davis, man, it's on you. If you want to leave the people with any last words, the floor is yours.
Once again, thank you for the invite. Always enjoyed chatting up with you. Doing the worst of the year. We gotta talk about some maybe positive shit next time or something.
Sure.
But yeah, shout out to y'all, Chris Ann, Eve, KP, Manny, what y'all doing here on the Patreon and on the regular show. It's amazing to see all the sponsors, all the extra content, merchandise. Like I said, listen to y'all from the start, continue y'all now. Just beautiful to see. But you can find me at Black Wrestling every Thursday night live on YouTube. Black Wrestling Patreon, that's where my personal show White Noise is. Me and Cal talk about all the shit I'm into. We also have a bunch of other amazing content on there. Check that out. Pay the 1, pay the 10. Banks versus Davis live every Sunday on YouTube. That's me and Banks. You're well acquainted with Banks, Cody. So he's on Wiretap with Eve every Sunday or every other Sunday here on the Black and Not Stable Patreon. So you already know him. We have our own Patreon, Banks versus Davis, where we do exclusive bonus content that can only be seen on Patreon. That's at the BBD Pod on Twitter as well. I'm on Twitter at Davis, aka Drip. Instagram, Davis Colton DC. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
There you have it, man. Davis, is always a pleasure. You know what I'm saying? You're one of the few people wrestling opinions I enjoy hearing. You know what I'm saying? Even though some of your opinions are out there, I love hearing them. I love hearing you always have logic behind them. You know what I'm saying? You might throw me off, but then once you break it down, it's like, okay, I see why.
Yeah,
you've always been that way, and that's always something I look forward to. If something happens in wrestling, I'll tap into Black Wrestling and just try to hear what you got to say about it. You know what I'm saying? Thank you for joining me. Thank you for doing this again. We got more work in the future, more things to come for this year, and we'll be back next year, man. You know what I'm saying? We'll be back next year, God willing, everything.
I didn't think I was going to be back this year. I was almost going to retire from podcasting, so let's wait and see.
Let's wait and see. All right, I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that one, man. Listeners, man, thank you for tuning in. It's been another year, man. We'll catch y'all at the next time.
Worst.